We are following a developing story in Fort Collins. First responders found 2 people dead inside a storm drainage tunnel. Thanks for joining us. I'm Kim Christensen.
And I'm Tom Green. Fort Collins police say the 2 people had built a tent inside the tunnel. 9 News' Northern Colorado reporter Amanda Gilbert is live showing us how police think they got there.
Yeah, guys, while Poudre Fire Authority and Fort Collins police responded around 3:30 this morning, we've learned a lot more about what happened in the past few hours. So we're going to zoom out. Alex is going to show you. Police believe those 2 people got inside that storm drainage tunnel by crawling underneath this entrance gate. You kind of see where that barrier is. Police are asking people to please respect this barrier. Now, earlier today, I did see crews out here working on that barrier, making repairs. Police say the 2 bodies were found inside a tent that was in the tunnel. Due to the tight space, a Poudre fire crew and hazmat team had to assess air quality before getting those bodies. Now, their identities are not being released, but police say the homeless outreach and proactive engagement team did contact the 2 several times before this. This is a area, it's right across from Foothills Mall, and a lane of College Avenue was closed off for about 4 hours this morning during all this, but things did return to normal by this afternoon. Live in Fort Collins, Amanda Gilbert, 9 News.
All right, Amanda, of course, we'll get more on this coming up at 5 o'clock. A fight apparently over a park bench led to a shooting at Wash Park yesterday afternoon. Denver police have identified their suspect as 28-year-old Ryan Eggleston. The arrest affidavit obtained by 9 News says he first shot at someone who'd asked him to sit next to him on a park bench. Eggleston missed with that one and then walked away, but police say a minute later he did randomly shoot at another man walking in front of him near Downing in Kentucky. That man was shot in the neck, but is expected to survive. Eggleston tried to drive away, but officers say they caught up to him after a short chase, then arrested him, and he is now facing first-degree attempted murder charges. A group of Colorado sheriffs wants to make it easier for federal agents to nab people wanted for immigration violations. Right now, many departments fail to timely notify Immigration and Customs Enforcement when a suspect makes bail and is released.
The proposed measure would make it clear that local law enforcement agencies have that power. Kevin Vaughn from 9 News Investigates was there today as 2 sheriffs announced the group's support for it.
It's a familiar refrain from police that Colorado legislators have tied their hands when it comes to dealing with people in the country without proper authorization.
The legislature and the laws signed into effect have made Colorado a haven for criminal immigrants.
El Paso County Sheriff Joseph Roybal had the support of a group of public officials today as he announced support for Senate Bill 2547, saying it would make their jobs easier.
We want to hold violent criminals accountable who are here in the United States illegally.
Roybal and Teller County Sheriff Jason Mikesell are among a group of more than a dozen sheriffs backing the measure. It reiterates that local law officers can communicate with U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement. It also specifically prohibits roundup operations or stop and show your papers enforcement actions.
We won't do those things. We're looking for criminals, and that's where it ends.
One thing it won't change is this. Police and sheriffs won't be able to arrest or hold people wanted for immigration violations unless a federal judge has signed a warrant.
We're going after criminals. If they vote against not allowing us to house criminals, they're voting against the safety of their own communities.
And one other thing in that bill is a provision that would allow local agencies to contract to provide immigration detention services. The measure goes before a Senate committee February 25th. Colorado grocery workers will go on strike later this week. Union officials said employees at all King Soopers stores in 7 metro area counties are going to go on strike Thursday morning at 5 a.m. The union covers about 10,000 people across 77 stores. Over the weekend, workers in Colorado Springs and Pueblo also voted to strike. King Soopers says stores will stay open. They plan to hire temporary workers. The 2 sides have been negotiating on pay and staffing since October.
Well, we start February with some very interesting weather in Colorado. A wonderful day for many. You might get out to the playground. You might even play some golf on a day like this. Nearly 70 degrees around 11 a.m. in some areas. And then out at DIA, a cold front rolled through and suddenly we dropped into the 40s. Overall, a nice day around town for this time of year. Kathy Sabin is with us now. And Kathy, if Mother Nature was a transmission, we'd be stripping the gears.
Oh my gosh. We call it forecasting fun back in the weather office back there. I know, right? I was talking with Keely Chalmers, and she was working the forecast for us on the noon show, and she was just like, what is going on? Because downtown we managed 70 degrees. I mean, we were in the 50s and 60s by 9, 10 o'clock this morning. But if you're watching us in Ray, Yuma, Burlington, or out around Holyoke, you were in the 30s all day. And you wouldn't know anything was going on. If you look outside, it is sunny, it's beautiful, but there is in fact an Arctic front that's been draped over northeastern Colorado all day. These are the high temperatures today. Notice Sterling and Ray, and then notice Denver. Actually, that's DIA. Downtown, we got to 70. So that Arctic front comes back into the front range around noon, and that dropped temperatures 20 degrees over where they were this time yesterday in Denver. And our current readings, look at this, 30 in Sterling, 32 in Ray, 35 in Greeley, 42 degrees in Denver. While our neighbors to the south are enjoying 71 in Pueblo, 69 in Trinidad, and 53 in Lamar. The winds have been a really big story the past 24 hours, blowing anywhere from 60, 70, 80, even 90 miles per hour. Good news there. Lighter winds out there. That's part of our weather headlines for your evening. We're tracking a midweek storm that will bring mountain snow and something that may bring some snow and some cold to us by the weekend. We'll cover all of that with your extended forecast.
Quite a change of direction today. President Trump now saying that tariffs on Mexican and Canadian imports are going to be paused for a month. The tariffs, though, on China will be going into effect at midnight tonight.
Lawmakers say rising costs are going to hit Americans hard. The president says there will be pain, but insists the tariffs are necessary. NBC's Vaughn Hilliard has more.
Hours before a 25% tariff was scheduled to go into effect on Mexican imports, President Trump announced a pause.
They've agreed to put in 10,000 soldiers permanently, like forever, 10,000 soldiers at their side of the border and stop fentanyl.
Mexico President Sheinbaum confirming soldiers will patrol the border.
Canada is very tough.
President Trump made a similar deal with Canadian Prime Minister Trudeau this afternoon, but the tariffs on China still scheduled to go into effect tonight.
If we can't make a deal with China, then the tariffs will be very, very substantial.
If the tariffs are imposed, costs could rise for food, to gas, to automobiles. The U.S. imports 4.2 million barrels of crude oil a day from Canada. Most of that goes to Midwest states. Turning to electronics, with much made in China, the Consumer Tech Association says if the full tariff is passed on to consumers, prices could go up more than $200 on smartphones, more than $350 for laptops. While tariff talks take place on the international stage, federal workers at home in limbo. Employees at USAID told not to go into the D.C. headquarters today, with now billions of foreign aid frozen. The lobby closed, windows covered. Secretary of State Marco Rubio says he's now in charge of the agency.
I'm the acting director of USAID. Our goal was to go in and align our foreign aid to the national interest.
Democrats vowed to save the agency that feeds those in need across the globe.
No one elected Elon Musk to dismantle it. We are going to fight in every way we can.
USAID reaches 130 countries, providing everything from humanitarian aid to health care.
Also happening this week, some key votes on Trump cabinet picks. The Senate Finance Committee will vote on Robert Kennedy Jr. to head Health and Human Services, and the Senate Intelligence Committee will vote on Tulsi Gabbard to be Director of National Intelligence. Hey, starting today, you can drive down Larimer Street in the Rhino neighborhood. Since 2020, no one's been able to drive down 29th and Larimer as part of the pandemic program to expand public outdoor spaces. And while Rhino's Business Improvement District initially supported the street closure, it also said lack of car access created a lot of challenges in the area. They chose not to renew a closure permit. On Sunday, dozens of people gathered to protest that change. The Improvement District says it realizes the switch is disappointing, and they'll work to create more public spaces in the neighborhood. So they'll find other places, if you will. Oh, can you believe it? We're less than a week out. Can you even stand it, Tom Green?
A week out?
For Super Bowl, for a day when nobody does anything but eat.
You know
Just
what?
eat.
It's funny because you think of how palpable the excitement's been.
I know.
So for you who don't like palpability, This is not your time.
Yeah.
So this is, as you were alluding to, the Super Bowl is a big football game at the end of the professional football season. They take the winners of each of the conferences and they have them play each other for a championship.
Do?
Not a lot of people are aware of it, but this Sunday they're going to play that game in New Orleans. This year it's the Kansas City Chiefs and the Philadelphia Eagles. And they both rolled into the Big Easy yesterday. For the Chiefs, well, they kind of put this on their schedule every year.
Yeah, they do.
Patrick Mahomes and company trying to make it a three-peat at the Super Bowl. The Eagles hoping Jalen Hurts can bring a second Super Bowl championship back to Philly. So the teams are there, but more importantly, here's the nonsense. All this week in New Orleans, opening night for fans. The media day, literally one of the worst days in American sports, is
But kind of funny to watch, observing it's frantic.
It used to be funny.
Yeah, it used to be.
It's kind of worn out now. Players and coaches really sit there and endure these questions that aren't really for them. It's for the performers who are asking them. Photos, interviews, musical performances, and of course you can take pictures with the Vince Lombardi Trophy. The Vince Lombardi Trophy is named after Vince Lombardi.
Heard that.
Yeah, football coach.
I know.
Packers.
I think the media day is entertaining because there's always one nugget that comes out of it. Like a little kid that asks a really cute question that gets a really great answer. There's always one.
It's been set up for months, or the guy in the wedding dress, or the...
I know, that part I don't enjoy.